what we've shown so far is making Toolbox ready files for ozone and PM 2.5. And now we're going to show how to do that same process for the imaginary meteorological data that I imported into the Toolbox. So for my meteorological data, it's at a different site than my PM 2.5 data, so I need to change this to the site for my MET data, and that's 0025. And my sampler ID is INMET for my meteorological data. And the POC is 1 for my meteorological data. And now I've got several different selections for parameters. So for each different meteorological parameter I collect, I need to make a separate file. So I need to make a file for wind speed, for outdoor temperature, relative humidity, and precipitation. So I'm going to start with my wind speed data. So I'm going to click on wind speed, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in these drop-down boxes. And then I'm going to move on to the right side of the form, and we need to change this date range to the data I have imported for my meteorological data. So I entered those values in for the date range. And for meteorological data, I cannot do gap filling anyways, so I'm going to skip the gap filling step for meteorological data. So I thought for the AQS format type, I would show you how it looks in XML. You don't have to use XML for your meteorological data. I just thought it would be interesting to show you how it looks. So I'm going to select XML here just for fun. So let's select XML to see something different. And now let's move on and let's go to raw data. I'm not going to add any AQS flags for my meteorological data, so I'm going to skip this step and move on to the raw data output step. So first I want to inspect the data, so I click on inspect data. And here is my meteorological data, so I scroll through the data, and I notice here that I invalidated some of my wind speed data with invalidation code of AN, and there's null values there. I did that during the final data validation step, as you remember, in Module 8. And everything looks good to me, so I can go ahead and close that window. And now we'll go ahead and create the AQS raw data file. So this is something that came up that says the units do not match. Okay, so this is a game stopper. If you get this message, you're going to have to fix something. So what happened here is that it says that the units that I used right here, the reported units, they do not match my raw data. So something went wrong. So what probably happened is when I added the AQS sampling methodology, I added the wrong units. So I need to investigate this because the Toolbox is not going to let me go any further with this data file generation until I get those units to match. So I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to look at my database logbook. And my database logbook says that the units of my wind speed data should be miles per hour. And just to confirm that, I'm going to inspect the data again. So sure enough, my wind speed units are in miles per hour. So what did I select for my reporting units here? Meters per second. So something went wrong when I entered my AQS sampling methodologies. So I selected the wrong units when I entered my AQS sampling methodologies. So I need to fix this. So we're going to minimize this form to fix this. So let's minimize this form, or restore this form, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to go into, we're going to move this over a little bit so we can see this form sticking out on the edge. And we're going to go into AQS, no, actually, we're going to exit out of this form. And we're going to go into the new users fast track, because to add AQS sampling methodologies, we need to use the new users fast track form. So we're going to add AQS sampler methods, and this is the form we used in our last module, which was module 10. And we're going to manually add another monitor protocol data record. So click on Manually Add Verify Monitor Protocol Data. And that opens this form that we saw during our previous module. And so we need to go through and we need to add a new monitor protocol record with the correct units for my wind speed data. So we need to do this again. So the selection I made for the tribe was 101, and that's actually the Confederate Tribes of the Colville Reservation. As we mentioned, this is an imaginary sampler. It's not actually located on the Confederate Tribes of the Colville Reservation. I'm just using this for example purposes only. So I need to select that, and then I need to select the AQS site ID, and this is for my MET data, that's 0025. And I'm just going to look at the existing monitor protocol records for this site. So here they are, and if we scroll, we'll see the wind speed, and the wind speed is in units of meters per second. So we can't fix it here. The only way we can do it is by adding a new record for the corrected units. So we can't fix it here, so we just can close this screen by clicking on the lower X, and then we're going to go through the steps to add the new monitor protocol record with the correct units. So I select pollutant of MET, and I select my POC, and you can look at the data, and again, it's clearly miles per hour. So I can close this window, and data for meteorological data is not FRM or FEM, so I say no. And I select the wind speed, and then I select my method. I have to relook at my notes to make sure I select the right method here. The GoToMeeting thing keeps getting in my way. I have to move it. So here is the method. And now I need to select the correct units, not meters per second, but miles per hour. So I select miles per hour. And then I select the sample duration. And remember, you need to click on this purple button in order to add the monitor protocol record to the toolbox. So I click on the purple button, and I get the two message boxes, so the append query message box and the append one row message box, and say yes on both of those. And now I've added the correct methodology for my wind speed. Now I can click on the Continue to Create AQS Data Files form button to take me back to that file, to that form where I can generate my AQS ready files from. So now we're back in the form, and I can go ahead and select the units. So if I click on the drop-down box, right now it's only showing meters per second. And the reason is because I haven't refreshed the parameter. So I need to refresh the parameter in order to get those new units to show up. So I just need to go through and select the parameter again. And now I need to select the method. And now when I click on the reported units, there's two options there. There's the meters per second and the miles per hour. There's nothing wrong with leaving the meters per second there. But if it's confusing to you, if you've got some parameters, some sampling methodologies that you don't use, and this is confusing to you to have these two options, let us know and we can work on removing those for you. It's not really straightforward on how to do it on your own, but we'd be happy to work with you to remove any of those sampling methodologies you're no longer using. So if there's something here you don't like, just let us know. We can fix it for you. So now I'm going to select my correct units of miles per hour, and it's my correct duration of 1 hour. And now I don't need to inspect it again. I already looked at it, but I could, so I can inspect it again and say, yep, that's the data I want to submit. But now when I click on this Create AQS RD file, we should get a different view here. So now we get the folder that we want to save this file in. And notice that it looks like there's nothing in this folder. There really is stuff in this folder. It's just that the only file type that's showing is XML. So the PDF, the pipe delimited formats that are in text file are still in this folder. They're just not showing. So again, it gives the file name of raw data file, site 0025, and the parameter code for wind speed, and then the dates. So, and it's an XML file, remember, because I changed this format type to XML. So I say save, and then it tells me where the file is. I say OK, and now I can view the file. So when you view XML files, you'll probably get a message box that says, warning, this is an XML file. Are you sure you want to open this file? I just say yes, I know it doesn't have viruses, so I say OK. And this is how an XML file looks. And it's completely different than how a pipe delimited file looks, but it is a still valid data file to submit to AQS. So I just wanted to show you how that looks. So that's the XML file. And now we could go ahead and keep on creating our AQS data files for our other meteorological parameters. So all we need to do here is change to the next parameter. So the next parameter on the list is outdoor temperature. So here is outdoor temperature, and we'll go ahead and select the method and the units and the sample duration, and my date range is the same for my different meteorological parameters. And this time I'm just going to go back to pipe delimited format, and we're going to select pipe delimited here just to see the difference in the data between XML and pipe delimited. So let's inspect it. Here's how the data looks. And there's some data I invalidated. So everything looks good to me. I can click on the lower X to close the screen. And now we can create the AQS RD file. And it opens up the folder for AQS imports since I've previously imported into that folder. It gives the file name of AQS RD, site 0025. This time it has the parameter code for my ambient temperature. And then it gives the dates. So I say save. And it tells me where the file can be found. And now we can view it. So here is how the pipe delimited file looks, and this file is now ready to submit to AQS. I can close it. So I would go through the same steps and do that for my other parameters. So I've got relative humidity and precipitation, but I'm not going to do that for you guys because it's the same thing and it's not very interesting. So that is it for this presentation on how to generate AQS ready files.